Stop everything you're doing right now. This is not a regular video. This is not just another motivational message. This is not simply a word of comfort. What you're about to hear is a divine intervention, a personal call that broke through the silence of heaven because the time for your answer has arrived. I called you 6 times, daughter. 6 times I tried to reach your heart while you were distracted by the pain, by the struggles, by the exhaustion that almost made you give up. But now, at this exact moment, you stopped. You listened, and this is not coincidence. This is proof that something crucial about your future has just been revealed. Time is running out for a decision that will change the course of your destiny. What you're about to hear was held back in the spiritual realm, locked away until the urgency of your blessing broke every seal of silence. Don't look for me tomorrow. Don't postpone this encounter for later, because the adversary is waiting for you to close this word, to steal the exact moment of your harvest. This is the appointed hour, the prophetic instant where what you lost will be restored in double portion. The 6 calls I made to your spirit were not random. They were the activation code for the miracle that was blocked, waiting for your complete attention. I need you to understand something fundamental before we continue. This message is exclusively for you, not for everyone, not for the crowds, but for the daughter who has cried in secret, who has given everything without receiving recognition, who has remained faithful when everyone told her to quit. If you feel in your chest that these words are piercing through the layers of your pain, it's because you were marked before the foundation of the world to receive what I'm about to decree over your life. The enemy knows that if you listen to this entire message, the cycle of losses that has chased you for generations will be destroyed forever. Right now, as you read these words, I want you to do something powerful. Leave your amen and your like as a sign that you received this urgent call. This is not just a button. It's a prophetic act of obedience that breaks distraction and activates your faith immediately. When you touch that button, you're declaring in the spiritual realm that you chose to believe, that you chose to stay, that you chose to receive what the Father has prepared for you. The adversary trembles when a child responds to the call with immediate action because he knows he lost the battle of distraction. This is not the time to doubt whether what I'm saying is real or not. This is the time to surrender your unbelief and open your heart to the possibility that the God who counts your tears, who registers your nightly sighs, who saw every silent sacrifice you made without human witnesses, is about to break into your reality with an answer so powerful it will erase all the years of drought. The 6 calls were my perfect patience waiting until you were ready to receive without reservations. And today, now, at this precise instant, your preparation is complete and your miracle is on its way. I know exactly what you've been feeling, daughter. I know the weight of that tiredness that doesn't go away even with sleep, that deep exhaustion that comes from the soul and not from the body. You've given everything of yourself. You've sacrificed your time, your energy, your resources, your mental peace, and you feel like nobody sees, nobody recognizes. Nobody values the invisible effort you've made day after day. You get up every morning trying to be strong for everyone who depends on you. But in the secret of your room, when nobody is watching, the crying breaks out because you're exhausted from carrying alone what should never have been your exclusive burden. And the worst part of it all is that you keep giving, you keep serving, you keep believing, but the reward doesn't come and the recognition doesn't appear. I know you more than you imagine. I saw that night when you knelt down and asked God to give you strength for just one more day because you felt you couldn't continue. I heard your broken voice when you begged Him to show you if there was something wrong with you because you didn't understand why the blessing was taking so long while others who hadn't fought like you were already harvesting. I counted every tear you shed in silence. Those you never showed anyone because you didn't want to seem weak, because you didn't want them to think your faith was failing. But I was there, in every moment of brokenness, registering your faithfulness in the midst of pain. I also know about the emptiness you feel when you look toward the future and can no longer see the promise clearly. There was a time when your heart burned with hope, when every morning brought the expectation that that would be the day of change. But now, after so many battles, after so many closed doors, after so many promises that seemed about to be fulfilled and then vanished, you no longer know if you still have permission to dream. The night without dreams has become your reality, where you only see the endless repetition of the same struggles, the same financial problems, the same illnesses, the same family conflicts that find no solution. You've felt injustice cutting through your soul like a sharp knife. They've robbed you, daughter. They've robbed you of your time when you invested years in people who betrayed you. They've robbed you of your peace when you trusted those who later hurt you deeply. They've robbed you of your resources when you were generous with ungrateful hearts that never returned even a word of gratitude. And the most painful thing is that while you gave with purity of heart, others who took what was yours prospered, advanced, were promoted, while you remained in the same place, holding the ruins of what was once your dream. Financial and emotional injustice has been your constant companion, and you've reached the point of wondering if there will ever be balance. But there's something even deeper that has been tormenting you, the second-generation battle. You've seen with terrifying clarity that you're fighting against the same patterns that destroyed your parents. The same curses that affected your family for years. The chronic poverty that pursued your mother now pursues you. The abandonment that marked your father now threatens to repeat itself in your story. The diseases that weakened your grandparents now knock at your door. And you've fought, you've prayed, you've fasted, you've declared, but those cycles seem to have roots so deep that no matter how hard you try, they always return with another form, with another face, with another strategy to keep you tied to the generational past. I need you to hear this with all your attention. Your suffering was not a punishment. It was a preparation. Every tear you shed in solitude didn't fall on empty ground. It fell on the altar of your formation as a covenant daughter. The desert you walked through was not designed to destroy you, but to strengthen you, to burn everything that was false in you and reveal the pure gold of your true identity. God didn't abandon you in the pain. He accompanied you in every step while building in you an unbreakable faith that will now be the foundation of your powerful testimony. The school of suffering was hard, but necessary, because what's coming requires a spiritual capacity that is only forged in the fire of adversity. Your perseverance activated the response that was waiting in the heavens. When everyone told you to quit, you remained. When logic screamed at you that it was impossible, you kept believing. When the enemy whispered to you that God had forgotten you, you chose to trust one more time. And that decision not to give up, that holy stubbornness to stay standing when everything pushed you to fall, was the key that opened the heavenly storehouses of your restitution. It wasn't your perfection that moved the Father's heart. It was your imperfect but constant faithfulness. Your unbreakable love though wounded. Your small but living faith that never completely went out. I saw that prayer you made for the family member who hurt you deeply. When everyone expected you to curse them, you blessed them. When you had every right to take revenge, you chose forgiveness. I remember that specific moment when you were in your room, with your heart broken by that close person's betrayal, and instead of returning the blow, you knelt down and asked for their restoration. That act of supernatural love that nobody saw, that sacrifice of your wounded pride that nobody applauded, was registered in the book of eternal acts and activated the law of restitution over your life. What you sowed in secret is about to be harvested in public. I counted every sigh of pain you hid in your pillow, those endless nights when the weight of everything was so great that you couldn't even articulate a coherent prayer. Only deep groans that came from the deepest part of your being. I heard every unspoken word, every silent scream, every question you didn't dare ask out loud for fear of seeming unfaithful. And in each one of those moments of intimate brokenness, my heart moved with compassion, not with judgment. I wasn't angry with you for your weakness. I was preparing the strength you would need to sustain the greatness of what's coming. I remember perfectly that day when you chose to forgive instead of returning the harm. It was a decision that nobody knows except you and me. Someone hurt you in a way that marked your soul. And in that crucial moment, you had two paths: justified revenge or sacrificial forgiveness. Everything in you screamed for immediate justice, to make that person pay for the pain they caused you. But in an act of obedience that defied your entire human nature, you released the offense and put it in my hands. That costly and seemingly senseless forgiveness was the exact moment when the generational chain of bitterness that had bound your family for decades was broken. I don't know if you fully understand what I just said. When you forgave the unforgivable, when you blessed the one who cursed you, when you prayed for the one who persecuted you, you activated a spiritual principle so powerful that the enemy had to step back 7 steps. The forgiveness you gave without expecting anything in return created a heavenly debt in your favor that will now be paid with multiplied interest. You didn't lose when you decided not to take revenge. You won a victory that transcends time and that will bring fruit not only in your life, but in the generations that come after you. Your secret act of mercy will be rewarded with a public manifestation of divine justice. I know you feel invisible. I know you've worked in the shadows while others received the credit. I know you've sustained ministries, businesses, entire families with your effort and your faith, but when recognition comes, your name is never mentioned. You've been the pillar that sustains, but nobody notices the pillars until they fall. You've been the oil that makes the machine work, but nobody thanks the oil, they only enjoy the movement. And that chronic invisibility has hurt your heart more than you'd like to admit, because there's a part of you that needs to know that your sacrifice matters, that your life has value, that you're not wasting your days in vain. But today, I reveal a kingdom secret to you. Acts done in secret are the ones that receive the greatest rewards. What you did without human witnesses was seen by all of heaven. The angels took note of every gesture of love that nobody applauded. The Father wrote in the book of memory every sacrifice you made without receiving recognition. And now, in perfect timing, when the maturity of your character is complete, comes the public manifestation of everything you built privately. Your invisibility was not divine neglect. It was strategic protection while you were being prepared for a stage bigger than you could have handled before. The tears you sowed in secret are about to become a harvest of joy that will be visible to everyone. Every night of solitary crying was a seed planted in fertile ground. And although it seemed nothing was growing, beneath the surface a multiplication was occurring that will soon break through the soil and manifest as a leafy tree of blessing. The promise that those who sow with tears will reap with rejoicing is not empty poetry. It's an immutable principle of the kingdom that is about to be fulfilled in your tangible experience. Your time of crying is ending. Your time of harvesting is beginning. You've been faithful when nobody saw you. You've worshipped when nobody heard you. You've given when nobody thanked you. You've believed when nobody supported you. And that faithfulness in the darkness qualified you for the blessings of the light. You don't need more character tests. You already passed the exam. You don't need more seasons of preparation. You're already ready. You don't need more confirmations of your calling. You've already been validated. The only thing you need now is to receive with open hands what has already been released from the heavens and is descending toward your physical reality. Your preparation is complete, and your manifestation is on its way. I want you to know that I haven't forgotten you for a single second. When you felt you were alone, I was orchestrating your rescue. When you thought there was silence, I was moving pieces on the invisible board. When you believed nothing was changing, I was dismantling the obstacles that blocked your blessing. Your wait was not abandonment. It was the necessary time for all the pieces to align perfectly. And now, after the long night of preparation, the dawn of your restitution is breaking on the horizon, bringing a light so bright it will erase every shadow of your painful past. Your pain had an eternal purpose that you're now going to understand. You didn't suffer in vain. You didn't cry without reason. You didn't fight without meaning. Every battle equipped you with a spiritual authority that you'll now use to free others. Every wound gave you a deep compassion that will make you a refuge for the broken. Every loss taught you the value of what really matters, freeing you from the bonds of the temporary. And now, with all that wisdom acquired in the fire, you're ready to receive blessings that you won't waste, that you won't abuse, that won't destroy you, because the desert made you wise and strong. I need you to understand something crucial about what's happening at this moment. There's a real enemy who is trying to steal this word from you. This is not a metaphor. This is not just a spiritual illustration. It's a tangible reality of the invisible realm that is operating against your destiny. The adversary knows exactly what I just revealed about your future, and his terror at this instant is palpable, because he understands that if you finish listening to this entire message, his dominion over your life will be broken forever. That's why, right now, he's launching distractions, thoughts of doubt, false urgencies, anything that will make you close this video before you receive the key that unlocks your miracle. Stand firm, because this battle is the last one before your total liberation. The enemy's main tactic against you at this moment is spiritual exhaustion combined with chronic doubt. He knows he can no longer destroy you with obvious temptations because your character strengthened in the desert. He can't deceive you with crude lies because your discernment sharpened in the battles. So he changed strategy. Now he attacks you with silent wear and tear, that deep fatigue that makes you think that even if God fulfills his promise, it will be too much effort to maintain it, too much work to sustain it, too much risk to believe it. He whispers to you that you're too tired to receive something new, that it's safer to stay in the known even if it's painful, that the blessing will bring responsibilities you don't have energy to handle. That voice telling you, "This is too good to be true," is not your intuition. It's the voice of the thief who came to steal, kill, and destroy. When you hear these words about restitution in double portion and something inside you immediately responds with skepticism, "With that, I've heard this before and nothing ever happens," recognize that that automatic response of unbelief was programmed by years of disappointment that the enemy strategically used to build a wall between you and your miracle. He turned your past pain into a mental fortress that now prevents you from receiving your future. But today, at this moment, that wall is cracking because truth is more powerful than the lie repeated 1,000 times. The adversary is furious because the 6 calls I made finally reached your heart. He tried to block each one of those calls with perfectly timed distractions. A family crisis just when you were going to seek God, an urgent financial problem when you were about to enter prayer, a sudden illness when your faith was beginning to rise. It was not coincidence that every time you approached the moment of your breakthrough, something catastrophic occurred to divert you. Those were not coincidences of fate. They were calculated attacks from a desperate enemy who knows your time of domination is ending and your time of reigning is beginning. But this 6th call broke through all his barriers. I want you to see clearly the strategy of theft that has operated against you. The enemy didn't just take material things from you. He stole your time. Years of your life were consumed in battles that weren't yours, in conflicts that were planted to distract you from your real purpose. He stole relationships from you when he put toxic people in your path who drained your energy and diverted your focus. He stole opportunities from you when he closed doors that were destined to open, placing obstacles at the exact moment you were going to cross the threshold of your promotion. And the cruelest thing of all, he stole hope from you when he used repeated disappointments to convince you that dreaming was dangerous, that believing was for the naive, that hoping was preparing yourself for pain. But here's the truth. The enemy doesn't want you to discover. He only steals what has eternal value. He never attacks what's irrelevant. He only invests his time and his demons in destroying what has potential for generational impact. The level of attack you've experienced is not a sign of your weakness, it's confirmation of your importance in the divine plan. If you were insignificant, he would have left you alone. If your destiny were ordinary, he wouldn't have spent so many resources from hell trying to stop you. The fact that you've been the target of such intense and sustained attacks is proof that you carry within you an anointing so powerful that when it's activated, entire generations will be freed through your testimony. The enemy is terrified at this moment because he knows something you still don't fully understand. You're in the last stretch before the finish line. All this intensified battle, all this extreme exhaustion, all this temptation to give up right now is because you're about to cross from promise to possession. He knows that if you give up at this point, all the suffering you endured will be in vain. All the preparation you received will be fruitless. All the character you forged will have no stage to manifest. That's why he bombards you with thoughts of, "I can't anymore. This will never change. Maybe it wasn't for me." Those are not your thoughts. They're the last ammunition of a defeated enemy trying to make you quit before you see his total defeat. You need to understand the concept of retention condition that's operating over your life at this moment. The enemy designed a specific trap to make you close this message just before receiving the information that will change everything. It's like a runner who stops 1 meter before the goal after having run kilometers. It's like someone who digs looking for water and gives up just when they're inches from the spring. He has studied your surrender pattern. He knows exactly at what moment your resistance tends to collapse, and that's why he intensifies the attack precisely there. But if you remain until the end of this word, if you resist the temptation to close, to get distracted, to postpone, the cycle of delays that has pursued you for generations will break once and for all. Silent distraction is his most sophisticated weapon at this moment. He's not attacking you with scandalous temptations you would immediately recognize as bad. He's attacking you with apparently urgent but spiritually irrelevant things, a phone call that can't wait, a thought about something you must do right now, a notification you need to check urgently. All those interruptions are being orchestrated to fragment your attention and steal the deep concentration you need to receive this complete revelation. Every second you remain focused on this word is a victory over the enemy's fragmentation strategy. And every minute you resist distraction is one more nail in the coffin of your oppression. The adversary has convinced you that waiting a little longer won't make a difference, that you can watch this later, that the blessing will still be there tomorrow. But that's the most dangerous lie because it doesn't recognize the concept of prophetic time. There are kairos moments, appointed moments where heaven opens and eternity touches time. And those moments don't repeat on human demand. This is one of those moments for you, not because I say so, but because your spirit recognizes it even though your mind doubts it. There's a window open now that requires your complete attention, and if you let it pass, believing you can return when it's more convenient, you could be postponing your miracle for years more. I want you to recognize an uncomfortable truth. The enemy is not worried about your faith in general. He's terrified of your specific faith in this particular message. He has no problem with you believing in God abstractly, with you going to church, with you reading the Bible, with you praying general prayers. What puts him in absolute panic is that you receive a specific prophetic word that contains dates, names, strategies, and tangible promises. because that kind of faith activated by specific revelation is what moves literal mountains. And this word contains exactly that, the specific revelation of what's happening in heaven's backstage with your name written on it. The tiredness you feel is not just physical, it's a spiritual attack designed to make you give up in the last mile. You've run the entire race with weight on your ankles. You've fought the entire battle with your hands tied. And now that you're about to cross the goal and receive the crown, the enemy launches his last attack to convince you that you're too tired to receive, too exhausted to believe, too wounded to hope that something good will finally happen. But that extreme tiredness is precisely the sign that labor is near, that the baby of your promise is about to be born, that the pressure you feel is transition pressure before the birth of your miracle. If you close this message now, if you decide that you've heard enough or that this is too long, the enemy will have won his objective, preventing you from receiving the most crucial part of this revelation that comes in the next minutes. Everything you've heard so far is ground preparation, but what comes after is the seed that will produce the harvest. Don't allow impatience, which is another form of unbelief, to steal the specific instruction you need to activate your miracle. The adversary knows that the information you haven't received yet is the master key. That's why he's doing everything possible to keep you from reaching it. But you are stronger than his attack because you carry within you the same resurrection that raised Christ from the dead. The time for the great revelation has arrived, daughter, and I need you to completely open your heart to receive what I'm about to declare over your life. What you're going to hear is not a future promise that might be fulfilled someday if you have enough faith. This is a decree that has already been signed in the heavenly courts. A sentence that has already been ruled in your favor. A reality that already exists in the spiritual realm and is now descending into your physical dimension. The miracle you've waited for so long is not on its way. It has already arrived. It's not about to be released. It has already been released. The only reason you don't yet see it with your natural eyes is because your spiritual eyes needed to open first to recognize it when it manifests. Listen with all your attention. I decree over your life restitution in double portion and prophetic acceleration. Every year the enemy consumed will be restored, multiplied by 2. Every door that closed against you will open wide with doubled opportunities. Every relationship that robbed you of peace will be replaced by 2 divine connections that will bring you rest. Every financial burden you carried will be lifted and converted into abundant provision that will flow from 2 simultaneous sources. This is not an ordinary blessing that comes in normal time. It's an accelerated blessing that is breaking the laws of time to reach you in the now. What should have taken years will be fulfilled in months. What seemed to require decades will manifest in weeks. The cycle of losses that has pursued you for generations is being broken at this precise moment. Not tomorrow, not next month. Right now, as you listen to these words, the ancestral chains are breaking in the spiritual realm. The poverty you inherited from your family line is being annulled by a decree of generational abundance. The abandonment that marked your ancestors is being replaced by a covenant of divine presence that will cover your house for 1,000 generations. The chronic diseases that were transmitted from parents to children are being cut at the root and replaced by a mantle of supernatural health. What was a generational curse is becoming a generational blessing that will begin with you and flow toward all who come after you. I want you to understand the magnitude of what I just declared. The total liberation you're receiving is not partial, not temporary, not conditional. It's absolute, permanent, and irrevocable. All the financial bindings that kept you in cycles of scarcity are being cut by angels with swords of fire. All the emotional chains that tied you to toxic relationships are being disintegrated by the power of my perfect love. All the spiritual strongholds that blocked your advance are being demolished by the authority of my name. Not a single residue of your past oppression will remain, because what I'm doing is a complete renewal, a total reset, an absolutely new beginning where your previous history will have no power to define your future. Now focus your attention on the specific areas where this miracle will manifest. First, in your identity and your soul. The scarcity mentality that has pursued you is being replaced by a supernatural abundance mentality. That internal voice that constantly tells you you're not enough. You don't deserve something better. You'll always be the one who struggles and never the one who harvests is being permanently silenced. In its place, I'm installing in your spirit a deep conviction of your identity as a daughter of the King, as an heir of eternal promises, as a carrier of an anointing that transforms everything it touches. The "I'm not worthy" syndrome that has paralyzed you in crucial moments will be replaced by a holy confidence in your value and your calling. Second, in your family. There's a loved one who seemed completely lost. Someone you've prayed for until exhaustion without seeing change. That prodigal son, that distant husband, that sick father, that brother in addiction. That relationship that seemed irrecoverable is being touched by my hand at this moment. I decree the supernatural rescue of that person you love. The demons that kept them captive are being expelled right now. The mental strongholds that kept them in darkness are being destroyed in this instant. And before this year ends, you'll see with your own eyes the return, the healing, the complete restoration of the one you had given up as lost. The ancient wounds that have divided your family will be healed with a heavenly balm that will bring peace where there was war and love where there was resentment. Third, in your finances and your career. An unexpected door of honor is being opened for you at this moment. It's not an ordinary door that requires you to knock 1,000 times until someone does you the favor of opening it a little. It's a massive door that opens wide by divine mandate. And when you cross that threshold, you'll enter a dimension of provision you've never experienced. That debt that has suffocated you for years will be annulled in such a miraculous way that when you tell the story, people will think you're exaggerating. A new source of income that won't depend on your natural effort is being established. A supernatural provision that will flow toward you like a river that never dries up. Now let me show you what's happening in heaven's backstage while you listen to these words. The annulment of the enemy's plans against your life has already been decreed in the heavenly courts. Every plot, every conspiracy, every evil strategy that was designed to destroy you has been dismantled, and its authors have been judged. The demons assigned to your case have been removed from their positions and replaced by warrior angels who now stand guard over every area of your life. The legal file that the accuser had built against you with every mistake, every sin, every moment of weakness has been permanently closed by the blood of the covenant. And now there is no valid accusation that can stand against you. I have sent angels of acceleration to weave the solution to what seemed impossible in just 24 hours. While you sleep tonight, they will be working in the hearts of people who need to make decisions in your favor. While you rest, they will be moving circumstances, organizing divine encounters, preparing opportunities that will appear before you as if they emerged from nowhere. What you've tried to solve for years with your own effort will be resolved supernaturally in one day. Because when I move, time bends to my will and the impossible becomes inevitable. You don't need to have all the answers of how it will happen. You only need to believe it's happening right now in the invisible. The people who have harmed you, those who betrayed you, who stole from you, who slandered you, are being removed from your path at this moment. You don't need to take revenge. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't even need to confront them. Because I am your defender and my justice is perfect. Some will be moved geographically far from you. Others will experience such a radical change of heart that they'll come to ask your forgiveness. And those who refuse to repent will simply lose all access and influence over your life, as if an invisible wall rises between you. In the empty space they'll leave, I'm positioning destiny connectors, anointed people who were prepared specifically to propel your purpose, to open doors you didn't even know existed, to invest in your vision when nobody else believed in it. The time the enemy stole from you is being reprogrammed in your timeline at this instant. I know this sounds impossible to your natural mind, but in the spiritual realm, time is not linear as you experience it. I can take the lost years and compress them in such a way that you receive in 6 months what you should have received in 6 years. I can accelerate your growth, your maturity, your promotion, your prosperity in ways that will defy all human logic. People will see you and say, "How is it possible that she's changed so much in such a short time?" And the only answer will be, God restored the time the locusts consumed and gave me an anointing of acceleration that can't be explained, only testified. This is not a blessing that comes with complicated conditions you must fulfill perfectly to keep it. It's not a deal where if you make a mistake, everything gets cancelled. It's a covenant of grace where my commitment to you doesn't depend on your perfection, but on my faithfulness. Yes, you'll need to walk in obedience. Yes, you'll need to keep your heart pure. Yes, you'll need to honor the principles of the kingdom. But your imperfection won't nullify my promise, because I didn't choose you for what you are in your own strength. I chose you for what I will do in you and through you with my power. The miracle I'm releasing is so great that you alone couldn't block it even if you tried, because it's founded on my sovereign will, not on your human capacity. I want you to see with the eyes of your spirit what's descending towards you from the heavens at this moment. It's a wave of blessing so massive that when it hits you, it will take you to levels of favor you never dreamed of reaching. It's not a drop of blessing. It's not a stream of blessing. It's a flood of blessing that will cover every dry area of your life. Your health will experience such a complete renewal that doctors will be confused by results they can't explain scientifically. Your relationships will experience such a deep restoration that what was dead will come back to life. Your finances will experience such a supernatural multiplication that you'll have to learn to manage abundance after having been an expert at surviving scarcity. The miracle is not in the process of formation. It's already formed. It's not on its way. It has already arrived. It's not a future possibility. It's a present reality that your natural eyes are about to see. The only thing required of you at this moment is that you receive it, that you extend your empty hands and allow me to fill them with what I already prepared for you. No more doubt, no more questioning, no more, "Is this true?" Simply open your heart completely and declare, "I receive it, Father. I receive the restitution in double portion. I receive the prophetic acceleration. I receive the total liberation. I receive everything that has already been released from the heavens for me on this day." And when you declare it with faith, it will seal the spiritual transaction that will activate the physical manifestation. The future you couldn't see clearly is being revealed right now. It's not a future of more struggle, more pain, more loss. It's a future of rest in the midst of abundance, of peace in the midst of prosperity, of joy in the midst of fullness. It's a future where your testimony will be so powerful that multitudes who are going through what you went through will find hope in your story. It's a future where your family will be known not for the curses that afflicted it, but for the blessings that flow from it. It's a future where your name will be synonymous with rewarded faithfulness, crowned perseverance, faith that moved mountains. And that future begins today, at this moment, with this word that is penetrating the deepest part of your being. Lift up your head, daughter, because your redemption is approaching. The sound you hear in the Spirit is the sound of chains breaking, of doors opening, of heavens tearing open so that everything that was unjustly withheld may descend upon you. The miracle I declared is not for tomorrow, it's for now. The promise I sealed is not conditional, it's absolute. The blessing I released is not temporary, it's permanent, and nothing and nobody in heaven, on earth or under the earth has the power to stop what has already been decreed with my signature and sealed with my blood. Your time of crying is over. Your time of laughing has begun. Your time of losing is finished. Your time of winning has started. Your time of drought has ended. Your time of harvest has arrived. Now listen to my voice. With the authority of the one who has all power in heaven and on earth. I am not a counselor who suggests. I am the judge who decrees. I am not a spectator who observes your struggle from afar. I am the defender who enters the battlefield and fights for you with unlimited power. And at this moment, from my throne of absolute justice, I pronounce irrevocable sentences over every area of your life that has been under attack. These are not empty words of religious hope. They are legal decrees of the kingdom that have the force of eternity behind them. When I speak, the heavens move, the earth trembles, and demons flee terrified because they know there is no possible appeal against my verdicts. I undo right now every work of witchcraft, every dark spiritual work, every demonic pact that was made against you or against your family. I break the generational curses that were pronounced by ancestors who served false gods. I annul the vows of poverty, sickness, and death that were established in your family line. I cancel every agreement you yourself may have made in ignorance or desperation with forces of darkness. And I declare that from this moment, no spell, no curse, no negative word pronounced against you will have any power. Because you have been sealed with my blood and covered with my name, which is above every name. The dark forces that operated freely in your life are being expelled now and are forbidden to return forever. I break the mental structures of defeat that were built in your mind through years of trauma and disillusionment, those thought strongholds that tell you, it will always be this way, it will never change, there's no hope for you, are being demolished at this instant. I tear down the altars of fear that were raised in your heart by painful experiences. I destroy the idols of control you built, trying to protect yourself from future pain. I eliminate the roots of bitterness that took depth in your soul and were poisoning your present with the venom of the past. Your mind is being renewed, your heart is being healed, and your soul is being restored to its original design of faith, hope, and abundant love. I restore everything that was stolen from you in the natural realm and in the spiritual realm. I restore the years the locusts consumed while you worked without seeing fruit. I restore the relationships that were destroyed by betrayal and deception. I restore the innocence that was taken from you by abuse and violation of trust. I restore the joy that was stolen by prolonged mourning and chronic pain. I restore the peace that was plundered by constant anxiety and paralyzing fear. I restore the financial resources that were wasted in broken systems and in cursed investments. And I don't just restore them in the measure they were taken. I multiply them in double portion because that is the law of my justice. The thief must return 7 times what he stole. In the area of your family, I decree healing where there has been chronic illness that doctors declared incurable. I declare restoration where there has been division that seemed irreparable. I pronounce liberation over that son, that husband, that father, that brother who is bound by addictions, depression, or rebellion. I break the chains that keep them captive and send rescue angels to bring them back to the fold. I annul the enemy's plans to destroy your lineage and decree that your house and all who live in it will serve the Lord. The constant fights will cease and be replaced by conversations of peace. The cold silence will be broken by expressions of love. And where there were wounds so deep they seemed they could never heal, my restorative touch will bring a miracle of reconciliation that will be testimony for generations. In the area of your health, I speak directly to your body right now and command it to align with the perfect design with which I created you. I speak to that autoimmune disease that attacks your own body and order it to cease and desist immediately. I speak to that chronic pain that has robbed you of sleep and peace and decree its total elimination. I speak to that medical condition the doctors said you would have to manage for the rest of your life. And I declare complete and permanent healing. Your cells are being regenerated. Your organs are being renewed. Your systems are being restored to function in perfect harmony. And when you return to those doctors for follow-up exams, they will find no trace of the disease they previously documented, and they will have to write in your file the word they hate to admit: unexplained remission. In the area of your finances, I decree the immediate end of the cycle of scarcity and the beginning of the cycle of abundance. I break every financial ceiling that has limited your income, no matter how much you work or how hard you try. I annul every curse of poverty that was inherited from previous generations who made economic pacts with the enemy. I open the windows of heaven over your life and pour out blessing until it overflows and there is not enough room to receive it. I decree that creative ideas for businesses, inventions, solutions and strategies will be downloaded into your mind while you sleep. I command that favorable contracts, ideal clients, golden opportunities, and unexpected promotions come to you without you having to chase them, because I'm sending angels ahead of you to prepare the way. That debt that has suffocated you, that has kept you awake at night doing calculations that never add up, that has made you feel like you're drowning financially without being able to come to the surface, is being cancelled by supernatural intervention. I'm not telling you to ignore your responsibilities. I'm telling you that I will provide in ways you cannot predict or plan. An unexpected check will arrive, an old debt will be forgiven. A relative or friend will be moved in their heart to bless you without you asking. An investment you had forgotten will suddenly mature. A freelance job will appear out of nowhere. And when you add up all those coincidental provisions, you'll realize it was my hand orchestrating your financial liberation from multiple fronts simultaneously. Now hear the authority of my word that never returns empty but accomplishes the purpose for which I sent it. In Isaiah 43 verse 19 I said, "Behold, I will do a new thing, now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." This word was written thousands of years ago, but it's being activated specifically for you on this day. The new thing I'm doing in your life is not a repetition of ancient blessings, not a recycling of what you already experienced before. It's something completely new, unprecedented in your history, so fresh that your eyes never saw it, your ears never heard it, and your heart never conceived it. And it's springing forth now, emerging from the invisible realm to the visible, materializing from promise to manifestation. The road in the wilderness I'm opening for you doesn't require you to build it with your effort. I'm building it supernaturally in the exact place where everything seemed dead, where there was no human possibility of advance, where logic said there was no way out. And the rivers in the desert I'm making flow are not small streams. They are abundant rivers of provision, of joy, of peace, of favor that will flow abundantly in the driest areas of your life. Where there was unbearable thirst, there will be complete satisfaction. Where there was land cracked by drought, there will be fertile land constantly watered. And this miracle of water in the desert will be so evident that all who knew you in your drought will marvel when they see you in your supernatural flourishing. In Joel 2, verse 25, my word declares, "So I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the crawling locust, the consuming locust, and the chewing locust, my great army which I sent among you. This is my promise of restitution for you. The years that were consumed by demonic plagues that I allowed for your formation will now be returned with multiplied interest. The time you lost in toxic relationships will be compensated with divine connections that will accelerate your destiny. The resources that were wasted in failed investments will be restored in business opportunities that will prosper supernaturally. The opportunities that closed unjustly will be replaced by doors that no man can close. And when you see the magnitude of the restitution, you'll understand that the time of loss was not wasted, but invested in your development so you could handle the abundance that's coming. Psalm 126, verse 5 declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." Every tear you shed was a seed planted in fertile ground of the spiritual realm. Your nightly crying was not in vain. It was the costly sowing that will now produce a harvest of abundant joy. The prayers mixed with weeping you raised when your heart was broken were heard and filed, and now they're being answered all together in an avalanche of coordinated blessings. The time of sowing in pain is over. The time of reaping in joy has begun. And the harvest that's coming toward you is so abundant, you'll need help to gather it all, because one person alone cannot contain all the fruit that comes from years of faithful sowing in the midst of suffering. Now I want you to do something prophetic at this moment. Write in the comments your declaration of faith. Don't just read this instruction and ignore it, thinking it's optional. Your written word has creative power that activates heaven's movement. When you write, "I receive the prophetic acceleration and the restitution of my time and my goods," you're sowing a verbal seed that the spiritual realm registers as an activated covenant. When you declare, "The cycle of losses is broken, I am free and my harvest is in double portion," you're legally closing the case the enemy had against you. And when you affirm, "I trust in the backstage, the door of honor is already open for me," you're giving legal permission for me to move all the necessary pieces to manifest what has already been decreed. Don't apologize for declaring with authority what I already declared first. Don't feel presumptuous for expecting what I already promised. Don't allow false humility to steal the inheritance I bought with my blood. Stand in the authority I delegated to you as a daughter of the King, and decree with your mouth what I already decree from my throne. Your words have weight in the spiritual realm when they're aligned with my revealed will. And this word I'm giving you today is my revealed will specifically for you, for your situation, for your moment. So speak with confidence, declare with faith, and expect with certainty that what comes out of your mouth under my anointing will not return empty, but will produce exactly what I sent through you. Now I want to take you to see the future that awaits you, the reward that is reserved for those who remained faithful in the midst of the storm. I'm not talking about small blessings that barely relieve your current situation. I'm talking about a reward so great, so glorious, so abundant, that when you receive it, you'll wonder why you suffered so much for it. But at the same time, you'll understand that the suffering was necessary so your character could sustain the magnitude of what I'm about to give you. The glory that's coming is proportional to the pain you endured, and since your pain was intense and prolonged, your glory will be extreme and permanent. This is the immutable principle of the kingdom. The greater the faithful suffering, the greater the glorious reward. The restitution I decreed over your life is not simply recovering what you lost and returning to the point where you were before the attack. That would be basic justice. But I don't operate with basic justice, but with generous justice. I'm going to restore you with extravagant multiplication that will make you completely forget the years of loss, because the present abundance will eclipse the past scarcity. Where you lost one, you'll receive 7. Where they stole 100 from you, you'll recover 1,000. Where you were stripped of a valuable relationship, I'll give you a network of divine connections. The mathematics of the kingdom is not 1 for 1, it's 1 for many. It's temporary loss for eternal gain. It's sowing in tears for harvest in overflowing joy that doesn't fit in your natural barns. Public honor is coming where there was private humiliation. All those who despised you, who underestimated you, who said you would never amount to anything significant, who prophesied failure over your life, will see with their own eyes your complete vindication. You won't need to defend yourself with words because your life will speak louder than any argument. Your promotion will be so evident. Your transformation will be so radical. Your blessing will be so visible that those who doubted you will have no choice but to recognize that God's hand was upon you all along. And some of them, ashamed by their unbelief and premature judgment, will come to ask your forgiveness and to ask how it's possible that you went from the valley to the summit in record time. The honor you'll receive will not be just superficial human recognition that flatters your ego, but doesn't change your reality. It will be substantial honor that comes with open doors, with abundant resources, with platforms of influence, with spiritual authority recognized both in heaven and on earth. You'll be invited to tables where you previously had no access. You'll be consulted for important decisions by people who previously ignored you. You'll be sought out for your wisdom that was forged in the fire of adversity. And in each one of those moments of public honor, you'll remember the nights of secret crying and understand that private brokenness was the price of the public platform. That hidden humiliation was the preparation for visible exaltation. Your testimony will become a beacon of hope for multitudes who are going through exactly what you went through. When you tell your story of how I rescued you from the deepest pit, of how I restored what seemed irreparable, of how I provided when there was no possible human source of provision, broken hearts will find faith to keep believing. People tired of fighting will receive renewed strength, hearing that you also wanted to give up, but remained and saw the miracle. Marriages on the verge of divorce will decide to try one more time, because your family restoration will show them that I still do miracles in relationships that seemed dead. Your life will stop being just your life and will become living evidence of my power for all who need to believe there is still hope. The legacy you're about to establish transcends your individual existence and will extend for multiple generations. Your children will not inherit the curses you inherited. They will inherit the blessings you conquered. Your grandchildren will not fight the battles you fought. They will walk in the victory you won. Your great-grandchildren will not experience the poverty that marked your lineage. They will enjoy the abundance you activated with your unbreakable faithfulness. The vicious cycle of generational pain broke with you, and a virtuous cycle of generational blessing began. You were the stone that stopped the avalanche of curse and became the foundation of a new spiritual house where peace, prosperity, health, and divine purpose will reign for 1,000 generations. The lasting peace I will establish in your house will not be the fragile peace that breaks with any minor conflict. It will be deep peace rooted in my permanent presence that will dwell in your home. When you enter your house after a difficult day, you'll feel a different atmosphere, a supernatural rest that restores your soul. The walls that previously absorbed screams and tears will now resonate with laughter and worship. The rooms that witnessed bitter fights will now be stages for healing conversations, and those who visit your home will comment that there's something different there. A tangible presence of peace not found in common places, because your house will have become an altar where my glory dwells continually, and from where my blessing flows toward all who enter. I want you to mentally connect your past perseverance with your present reward. Every time you wanted to quit but chose to continue, you were sowing a seed of persistence that now produces fruit of permanent victory. Every time you forgave when you had the right to hold a grudge, you were sowing a seed of mercy that now returns to you as abundant grace in your own mistakes. Every time you gave when you didn't have enough for yourself, you were sowing a seed of generosity that now multiplies in overflowing provision. Every time you worshipped in the midst of pain, when you didn't feel like singing, you were sowing a seed of faith that now blossoms as inextinguishable joy. Nothing you did in faithfulness was lost. Everything was registered and is now being rewarded with compound interest from heaven. The years of preparation in darkness now make sense, because you're about to enter a season of manifestation in light where everything you learned will be applied. The painful lessons about total dependence on me now allow you to handle abundant blessings without becoming self-sufficient and forgetting who your source is. The humility that was forged in rejection now allows you to receive honor without becoming proud and losing your connection with me. The compassion you developed in your own suffering now allows you to minister to others with genuine empathy instead of empty religiosity. And the faith that was tested in the fire of adversity now allows you to stand with spiritual authority that doesn't come from human titles, but from battles won in the invisible realm. There will be moments in the coming days and weeks where you'll remember this word and wonder if it was really from God or just temporary emotion. In those moments of doubt, I want you to return to this message and listen to it again. I want you to remember the internal testimony you felt in your spirit when these words penetrated the layers of your pain and touched something deep in you that knew it was truth. I want you to hold on to the specific promises that resonated with your particular situation in a way that only you and I completely understand. And I want you to declare out loud, God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent. He said it and he will do it. He spoke it and he will fulfill it in my life, because his word is more secure than any present circumstance that tries to contradict it. The temptation will be great to share this word only with people who already support you and believe in you. But I challenge you to also share it with 3 people who are tired of fighting, who are on the verge of giving up, who desperately need to hear that there is hope even in the darkest situation. When you share this message, you're not only helping someone else, you're activating the law of multiplication over your own blessing. What you give returns to you multiplied. The hope you sow in another broken heart returns to you as increased faith. The encouragement you give to someone discouraged returns to you as renewed joy. Be the channel of this urgent news that God has not abandoned his children, that he still does miracles, that ancient promises remain valid and are fulfilled in this present generation. Don't allow the shame of your past to steal the glory of your future. I know there are things in your history you would prefer nobody knew, mistakes you made, wrong decisions you took, moments of weakness that embarrass you when you remember them. But you need to understand that your testimony will not be powerful in spite of your mistakes, but precisely through them. When people see that I rescued you, not from a perfect life, but from a real disaster. When they see that I restored you not because you deserved it, but because I loved you unconditionally. When they see that I used you not after you perfected yourself, but in the midst of your transformation process, then they'll know there's hope also for them with all their imperfections and failures. Your vulnerability about your past will be the door of freedom for others who are trapped in shameful secrets, thinking they're the only ones who failed. The reward that's coming is not just material, though it will include abundant provision. It's not just relational, though it will bring deep connections. It's not just emotional, though it will restore your joy. It's integral, touching every dimension of your being: spirit, soul, body, relationships, finances, purpose, legacy. You'll be complete in all areas simultaneously, not blessed in one zone while suffering in another. The fullness you'll experience will be so holistic that when you look at your life, you won't find any significant area that remains in ruins. And that multidimensional fullness will be the irrefutable evidence that who blessed you was not luck, was not destiny, was not your own effort, but the sovereign hand of the God who fulfills his promises for those who remain faithful until the end of the test and the beginning of the reward. God's time is now, daughter, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel more prepared or more worthy. Now is the Kairos moment where eternity interrupts chronological time and the impossible becomes inevitable. This is not a message to be filed in your memory as inspirational information you'll consult when you have the mood. This is a decree that must be activated immediately with your response of faith, with your declaration of agreement, with your immediate obedience to the instructions I've given you. The enemy wants you to postpone, to say, "I'll do it later," because he knows that later rarely arrives and the prophetic window closes. But you are not one of those who postpone their miracle. You are one of those who take it by force at the exact moment the opportunity presents itself. The urgency I feel in my heart for your situation is not dramatic exaggeration. It's the passion of the father who sees his daughter suffering unnecessarily because the miracle is already released, but she hasn't received it yet. I've moved heaven and earth to bring this word specifically to you on this specific day. I ordered your steps so you would be in the exact place at the exact moment watching this message. I opened your heart so you could receive instead of resisting, as you've done other times when hope tried to be reborn in you. And now that everything is perfectly aligned, the only thing missing is for you to extend your empty hand and take what I already placed within your reach. Don't complicate it with reasoning. Don't postpone it with excuses. Simply receive it now with the faith of a child who believes without questioning. Remaining connected to me is not an optional suggestion for better results. It's an absolute requirement to maintain the flow of the blessing I just activated over your life. The anointing you receive today needs to be fed with your constant communion, with your continuous worship, with your radical obedience to my voice. You cannot receive this powerful decree and then disconnect thinking it will work automatically without your active participation. The miracle was released, but you must keep the channel open through which it flows. That means daily time in my presence, not as religious obligation, but as vital necessity. It means keeping your heart pure from resentments that block the flow. It means walking in integrity even when nobody sees you, because your character is the container of your blessing. I need you to do something prophetic at this moment that will seal everything we've talked about. Subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell. This is not vanity of numbers. This is strategic obedience. Every message I upload in the coming days and weeks will contain crucial directions for your specific season, precise instructions for the next steps of your miracle, necessary corrections to adjust your course. If you're not connected, you'll lose vital information that could be the difference between receiving your complete blessing or only a portion of it. The enemy wants you to think that one more channel doesn't make a difference. But in the spiritual realm, every act of obedience, however small it may seem, activates principles of multiplied blessing. Declare now out loud, even if you're alone. Father, I receive the prophetic acceleration and the restitution of my time and my goods. I decree that every stolen year will be returned to me in double portion. I accept the total liberation from all financial, emotional, and spiritual bindings. I take possession of the unexpected door of honor that is already open for me, and I activate with my mouth what you already decreed from your throne over my life. While you declare this, something is changing in the spiritual realm. Angels are taking note of your verbal agreement with the heavenly decree. The demons that operated against you are being forced to retreat, because your declaration activated the authority that was delegated to you. And the Father is smiling because his daughter finally believed what he always knew was true about her. Now declare the second affirmation of faith. The cycle of losses is broken forever. I am free from the generational curses that affected my parents and grandparents. My harvest will not only be restored, but multiplied in double portion. The doors that closed unjustly will open wide. The relationships that were destroyed will be completely restored. My health will be renewed, my finances will be multiplied, and my family will be healed. This declaration is not empty positive thinking. It's the exercise of the spiritual authority that belongs to you as a daughter of the King. When you speak with faith what God already spoke first, your words have the same creative power as His because you're aligned with His revealed will. Finally, declare with absolute conviction, I trust in the backstage. Although I don't see with my natural eyes everything God is doing behind the scenes, I believe that angels are working in my favor, that circumstances are aligning supernaturally, that the right people are being moved in my direction, and that the miracle that was decreed in heaven is descending toward my physical reality. I don't need to understand all the details of how. I only need to trust in the faithfulness of the one who promised. My job is to remain faithful. His job is to fulfill what He spoke, and He has never failed to fulfill His promises for those who believe without doubting. When you finish this declaration, allow the tears to flow if they come, because they are tears of liberation, tears of relief, tears of a heart that finally allows itself to believe that the best is still to come. Before you close this message, I want you to do one last thing. Go to the comments right now and write, I heard the 6 calls. My future was revealed. This is not a magic formula. It's an act of public faith that seals your reception of this prophetic word. When you write it, you're testifying before heaven, before earth, and before hell that you received the call, that you responded at the appointed time, that you didn't let distractions steal your miracle. And that written testimony becomes legal evidence in the heavenly courts that you did your part of the covenant. And now God will do His, which is infinitely greater than anything you could have imagined or asked for. Daughter, the 6 calls I made to you were not in vain. This 6th and last time you answered. You stopped everything, paid complete attention, opened your heart without reservations, and received the revelation of your future that was being blocked by the enemy's distraction. Now that you know what's coming, that you know the specific promises that were decreed over your life, that you understand the miracle is not in process but has already been released. Your only responsibility is to remain in a position of faith until the invisible becomes visible. Don't move from certainty even though circumstances scream the opposite. Don't return to doubt even though time seems to stretch longer than you expected. Stand firm in what you heard today. Because what God promised, God will fulfill, not because you're perfect, but because He is faithful. Your drought is over, your harvest has begun, and nothing and nobody will be able to stop what has already been sealed with the signature of the Almighty over your life and your eternal destiny.